Revit provides tools for analyzing the energy use and for calculating heating and cooling loads of your building project. Before using either of these tools, you should make sure that all of the energy settings are correct. On the Analyze ribbon, in the Energy Analysis panel, I'll click Energy Settings. Revit displays the Energy Settings dialog. In this dialog, some of the settings are used when you use the Run Energy Simulation tool, and some are used when you use the Heating and Cooling Loads tool, or export a GBXML file, and some are used for both. In the Common section, I'll verify that the building type and ground plane settings are correct. Then I'll click in the Location field and then click on the adjacent button to open the Location, Weather, and Site dialog. In this dialog, on the Location tab, select the building location using the Internet Mapping Service, and then also specify a weather station. Then click OK to close the dialog and return to the Energy Settings dialog. In the Detailed Model section, the parameters are used to specify GBXML settings, which are used when exporting a GBXML file or when running the Integrated Heating and Cooling Loads Analysis tool. They do not affect the conceptual energy analysis. Here, you can choose the export category. You can select rooms or spaces. In the Export Complexity drop-down, you can specify the complexity level of the model. These options range from simple to complex, with and without shading surfaces and mullions. In the project phase, you can choose the proper building phase if necessary. Next, you can adjust the sliver space tolerance, which is the maximum distance that the energy analysis will ignore before it creates a shading surface to analyze. In the Building Service field, you can select one of the available HVAC system types. If you click in the Building Construction Value field, you can click the button to open the Building Construction dialog. For Building Infiltration class, you can select Loose, Medium, Tight, or None to specify the estimated amount of outdoor air that enters the building through leaks in the building envelope. Next, you can select whether or not to export default values. Lastly, for the report type, you can choose the level of information provided in the Heating and Cooling Loads report. You can select Simple, Standard, or Detailed. In the last two sections of the dialog, Energy Model and Energy Model Building Services, the parameters affect the results of the conceptual energy analysis performed on a mass model. These settings do not affect the heating and cooling loads or an exported GBXML file. The core offset is the distance measured inward from the exterior walls to define the core zone. Then, if you select Divide Perimeter Zones, Revit will divide the perimeter of the building into 4 thermal zones: northeast, southeast, northwest, and southwest. Next, I'll click the Conceptual Constructions Edit button to open the Conceptual Constructions dialog. Realize that you can only perform an energy analysis on a mass model, and that model must contain mass floors. Therefore, these conceptual constructions are for the mass model, which is not the same as the building construction in the Detailed Model section. I'll leave these set to the default values, and then I'll click OK to close the Conceptual Constructions dialog. The target percentage glazing is the percentage of exterior walls to be glazed openings or windows. This is also known as the window-to-wall ratio. Then, you can specify the distance from the floor to the bottom of the window in the Target Seal Height field. Next, select Glazing is Shaded if you want light shelves to shade windows and other glazing for conceptual energy analysis. When you select Glazing is shaded, you can then specify a shade depth. Additionally, you can specify the percentage of roof that should be skylights. This is also known as the skylight to roof ratio. If this value is greater than 0, you can enter the skylight width and depth. Finally, in the Energy Model Building Services section, you can specify the building usage schedule and the specifications for the HVAC system, and also adjust the outdoor air information. I'll expand the Building Operations Schedule drop-down and choose 12.5 Facility. Now that I've adjusted all of the necessary energy settings, I'll click OK to close the dialog, and I'm ready to perform the energy analysis.